Most people spend their lives stuck in the same cycle: work, earn, pay bills, repeat. But the wealthy, they broke the cycle on purpose, and they don't do it by working harder. Because escaping the rat race isn't about hustle, it's about shifting how you think. And that shift, it's how freedom begins. Hello, if you're new here, I'm Jonathan from Parent Portfolio, and I know what it's like to be burned out, doing everything quote unquote right, and still feel like you're behind. But once my wife and I learned how to shift our mindset and change our money strategies, everything became different. We became millionaires in our 30s, owned multiple rental properties, and coach others to build wealth with intention and not exhaustion. And in today's video, I'm sharing the 7 most powerful mindset shifts that helped us stop chasing paychecks and start building real, lasting freedom. You've probably heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And it's not just a quote, it's a truth most people underestimate. Your habits, your mindsets, your income, they're shaped by the people closest to you. The way that they talk about money, success, risk, and opportunity, it all rubs off on you. Your circle is either pushing you forward or keeping you stuck. When I finally looked at who I was surrounding myself with, I had to be honest. I wasn't being challenged. I was being comforted. I was around people who meant well, but they weren't aiming higher. They weren't talking about freedom or ownership. They were focused on surviving and not scaling. And if you want to grow financially, mentally, spiritually, you've got to audit your environment. You don't have to cut off people, but you need to be intentional. Spend time with people who stretch your thinking, who normalize your progress, who talk about goals like they're already happening. Because when you're around people who already live where you want to go, you start thinking like someone who belongs there. And if you want to build wealth, start building the right circle. The people around you shape what you believe is actually possible. One of the biggest differences between how wealthy people think and how most people operate is simple. They buy freedom first. Most people buy lifestyle. The wealthiest people I've ever met all have this in common. They prioritize ownership, not consumption. They focus on buying things that grow in value, produce cash flow, or give them leverage before they spend on upgrades, vacations, or anything flashy. When my wife and I were climbing out of debt, we started treating our income like seed money, not spending money. We bought our first investment property before even upgrading a car. And instead of chasing comfort, we focused on creating cash flowing assets that could pay us back. It wasn't easy. It meant saying no to instant gratification so we could say yes to long-term peace. But it changed everything. This is how the wealthy fund their lifestyle, not with their salary, but with their income from assets, rental properties, long-term index funds, digital products, ownership in businesses. These are the things that grow in value, compound over time, and eventually make work optional. So here's the shift. Before you spend, ask yourself, will this make me money or will it cost me money? Will this item appreciate or will I have to keep replacing it? Is this a tool for wealth or a distraction from it? Let your investments pay for your lifestyle, not the other way around. Because when your assets start covering your expenses, that's when you stop living paycheck to paycheck and start living on purpose. Sounds intense, right? But let's be honest. You don't stumble into wealth. The top 1% don't accidentally become financially free. They want it deeply, and they chase it intentionally. For my wife and I, that desire was born the moment I realized that we could no longer trade hours for dollars and call it freedom. We didn't just want more money, we wanted time with our kids. We wanted more choices, to work because we wanted to, not because we had to. We wanted to create an impact, not just income. And here's the shift that changed everything. We stopped being vague. We set specific, measurable financial goals. Real numbers, real deadlines, real urgency. We got clear on our why and let it guide every money decision we made. That's the difference between wishing for wealth and working towards it. When your desire is clear, you stop chasing distractions. You stop wasting money. You start seeing opportunities that were always there, you just didn't tune in. But let's make it clear. This isn't about being obsessed with money for the sake of it. This is about being obsessed with what money can do. Freedom, security, options, time, legacy. So if you're going to obsess over something, obsess over building a life where you can call the shots. Obsess over something where you create choices instead of chasing checks. Because the people who build real wealth, they're not just motivated, they're on a mission. Success rarely comes from waiting for the perfect time. Because let's be real, there is no perfect time. There's always going to be uncertainty, risk, and doubt. The difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck are that the 1% plan with purpose, but act with urgency. Most people fall into one of the two traps. They don't plan at all, and they wing it and hope for the best. Or overplan and overthink until fear paralyzes them. I used to live in that second trap. I spent hours analyzing decisions, comparing options, tweaking numbers, and honestly, getting nowhere. What changed was that I had to get it out of my head and put things into motion. Instead of obsessing over the perfect strategy, I broke everything down into 3 parts. 1, outcome. What's the big goal I want to reach? 2, milestones. What needs to happen in a 90-day chunks to move forward and be successful? And 3, actions. What's the very next step I can do today, or even better, in the next 10 minutes? So, what's the lesson here? Don't just dream it, schedule it. Big results don't come from big ideas. They come from small steps taken consistently. So here's a powerful question to ask yourself every day. What is the next big action I can take right now that aligns with my bigger vision? Honestly, you don't need a 12-month strategy to start. You need one decision, one action, and one move that will make you go forward. Because the longer you wait, the more momentum you lose. And the truth is, you don't need more time. You just need to decide. So here's something I've noticed over and over again. Wealthy people think differently, but more importantly, they speak differently too. They don't shut down ideas with, I can't. They ask, how can I? The one shift in language can change everything. Most people face a financial challenge and instantly go into shutdown mode. I can't afford it. I'll never be able to invest. People like me don't build wealth. And I get it, especially when you're deep in debt or living paycheck to paycheck. At one point, me and my wife were in over $250,000 in debt. Yeah, the idea of investing in real estate sounded ridiculous and crazy. But instead of saying, we can't afford it, I started asking, what would need to happen for this to become possible? That one question opened a completely different mental pathway. That shift led us to purchasing our first investment property and kickstart our path to acquiring 3 more properties and reaching a 7-figure net worth. Because when you start asking questions like, who can help me learn this? Or what resources am I not using? Or how about, how do other people make this happen? Your brain starts doing things you never imagined before. It starts solving problems instead of shutting down. This is what I call speaking the language of possibility. Because the words you lose become the limits or launch pads of your life. Your brain listens to what you say. If you keep telling it something isn't possible, it stops trying. But if you say, how can I? Your brain starts searching for answers. So the next time your goals feel too big, don't ask if you can, ask how you can. That shift alone could change your entire financial future. So here's the truth. The top 1% don't sit around hoping to get lucky. They don't wait for the perfect economy, a random breakthrough, or some magical big break. They create their luck through relentless motion. When we relaunched our family finance blog, some people said we got lucky with traffic. But here's what they didn't see. They didn't see the 3 a.m. writing sessions while our kids were sleeping, the times we would hit publish, even when we weren't even sure if anyone would read it, or that imposter syndrome we had when we were pushing through just trying to keep things up. What looked like overnight success from the outside was actually consistency in the dark. We weren't banking on luck. We were building consistency. We were building leverage. Because success is really about magic. It's about motion. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need the courage to start. Take that shot. Make the ask. Write that pitch. Try something. Just move. Every time you take action, especially when it's uncomfortable, you give luck a place to land. Think of it this way. Most people are waiting for a door to open. The 1%, they're already building the hallway. So if you want results, stop overthinking and start moving. The action doesn't have to be big. It just needs to be real. And here's the truth. You don't get lucky by waiting. You get lucky by working. And eventually, those small steps add up to something others call luck. But you know what? They don't see the hard work you put in behind the scenes when no one is watching. So this shift changed everything for us. See, most people grow up learning just one way to earn. Trade time for money, work a job, clock in, get paid, repeat. But the wealthy, they play a different game. They don't just earn income, they build systems that generate income whether they're working, sleeping, or on vacation. They build assets, not just careers. When I realized I couldn't work my way to freedom, I had to pivot. I was maxed out on hours, maxed out on energy, and still stuck. So I started asking myself, how can I earn without always being present? So me and my wife, we created income streams that kept going for us, even when we weren't. For example, we bought our first rental property that generated cash flow for us every month. And when we launched our family finance blog, it earned income through ads and affiliate sales. This isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about building repeatable, scalable income over time. Take this for example. Just $100 a week invested consistently in a solid index fund over 11 years can grow you in over $100,000. Not because you worked harder, but because you multiplied your money with time. This is the difference between being busy and being wealthy. Because wealth just isn't about how much you make, it's how money flows in even when you stop showing up. So if you want to live like the 1%, you just can't work for money. You have to build money that works for you. So what does that mean? That means you could create products, ones that sell over and over again. Or you can buy assets that grow in value while you sleep. Or how about building a business or systems that operate without constant input? Your future self isn't craving burnout. They're creating freedom, flexibility, and options. And those come from income that doesn't need you to clock in just to exist. So these are the 7 shifts that completely changed my life and helped me go from burnout and debt to building wealth with intention and living on my own terms. So here's what I want you to do. Upgrade your circle. Surround yourself with people who stretch you, not just comfort you. Own first, spend later. Build assets before you buy lifestyle. Be obsessed. In the right way though. Let your desire for freedom guide your discipline. Plan well, act fast. Just don't dream it. Break it down and take the next best steps. Speak the language of possibility. Ask better questions. Stop saying, I can't. Start saying, how can I? Leave luck at the door. Luck doesn't build wealth. Relentless, consistent action does. Build income that doesn't need you. Shift from trading time for money to build systems that create freedom. So if this resonated with you, and if you're tired of spinning your wheels, living paycheck to paycheck, or building someone else's dream, apply for our one-on-one financial coaching below. We'll help you build a personalized strategy to escape the cycle, build real wealth, and finally create the life you actually want to live. And don't forget to subscribe for more weekly lessons on money, mindset, and self-mastery. Remember, you're not stuck. You're just one decision away from new direction. Let's build your strategy together.